بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن رحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We gave a breakdown, very brief breakdown of the whole process. We said that first of all, we should become awake and alert. Then we should try to know ourselves. Then we should try to improve ourselves by acquiring proper beliefs and then deepening our understanding of them, acquiring virtues and noble traits of character and removing bad traits of character, and then having proper actions and avoiding sinful actions and dislike actions, and then we should never stop. So this is good for us to know. This is good also for us when we want to educate people. So if you want to educate someone, don't focus just on the actions. Actions are very important, but focus on their akhlaq and aqaid as well. Their aqaid must be improved. Their akhlaq must be also improved. We will talk about akhlaq inshallah more later. So what I want to do now, this is our last session today, is I want to give few practical instructions that helps in self-purification. These are instructions given by our scholars based on hadith and the Quran. And I am not giving you something very complicated, something very difficult. I'm telling you something very easy. Unfortunately, there are people that make spirituality such a complicated issue that you can never do what they say unless you give up your normal life. You shouldn't go to work, you shouldn't study, you shouldn't do anything, just attend their circles. This is not the way the Prophet or Ahlul Bayt were teaching people. You can be very active in social life and at the same time be very spiritual. So now I'm telling you 5 things that are very easy to understand. You can do them in all situations and circumstances. It needs just determination. It doesn't need anything else. 1, very simple. Not to speak unless necessary. If we manage to reduce our speech and avoid, first of all, sinful speech, like lying, like backbiting, this type of thing, but also unnecessary speech. Tarkul kalam fima la ya'ni. When something is not relevant to me, when something is not needed, I shouldn't say it. Someone said to a person that your neighbor's cow has delivered a baby. He said, it's none of my business. My neighbor's cow has delivered a baby. Then he said, but now the cow has milk and they have extra milk. So they give you some of the extra milk. So he said, it's none of your business. So it means that why you are wasting your time in talking about these things? To tell me something that is not related to me or is not related to you. So sometimes we spend lots of time and energy on saying things which, even if we don't say, they are not harming. Yeah? Especially for the most of people, because we speak too much, okay? We have to be very careful because always when you lose the balance, then to come to the balance, you have to do extra on the other side of direction so that you come to the balance. So for example, if I'm a person who speaks too much, then I have to speak less than what is the balance so that I can gain the control. Okay? In our hadith, we have many things about watching our words, watching our tongue. Once a person went to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, Rasulullah, please give me advice. Awsani. Awsani means give me advice. Rasulullah said, Ihfad lisanak. Means watch your word, keep your tongue, be careful about what you say. Then he said, Ya Rasulullah, awsani. Maybe he didn't understand the significance of this advice. So he asked again for advice. Rasulullah said, Ihfad lisanak. Repeated the same thing. Then he said, Ya Rasulallah, awsani. Either he thought that this was not a serious advice, or he thought he needs a second advice. So for the third time he said, give me advice. And then Rasulullah said, Wayhaka. وَهَلْ يُكِبُّ النَّاسِ عَلَى مَنَاخِرِهِمْ فِي النَّارِ إِلَّا حَصَائِدُ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. Rasulullah said, is there anything other than what people achieve or harvest? Hasa'id is harvesting. What people achieve by their tongue that can make them collapse on their faces in fire. To be put in fire is very difficult, but to be put in fire on your faith is the worst. So Rasulullah said, is there anything other than what you do with your tongue, what you gain with your tongue, that put you in fire on your faith? It's very worrying. So if we avoid a speech which is not necessary, then definitely we don't say anything which is haram, because you have gained this control. According to a hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, أفضل العبادة الصبر والصمت وانتظار الفرج. The best ibadah is patience, silence, and waiting for faraj. So silence is very important. In some hadith says, if a speech is silver, silence is gold. Or another hadith says, mu'min, as long as he is silent, is registered as a muhsin. If you are mu'min, even if you are not doing anything, still Allah writes you as a muhsin. Iman by itself is a good ihsan, is a good action. Yeah? For example, if you are a mu'min and you have said prayer of Zuhr and Asr and you die, and if you are the same person and after prayer of Zuhr and Asr you were alive for another hour and you didn't do anything, but you were just alive, this puts you in a better position than dying just after Salah. This 1 hour that you didn't do anything, but you were in the state of Iman, this by itself is ihsan. Okay? So the time you spend in Iman makes you better. And this is why you have to respect all the people who are mu'min. Not only because they have more actions, just they have spent more time with Iman. Okay? So, La yazal al-mu'minu yuktabu muhsanan. Something like this, maybe words are slightly different, but something like this. Al-mu'min constantly is written as a muhsin, but as long as he is silent. When he speaks, he is either muhsin or musi. either he is registered as a person who is doing good thing, as a benefactor, or he's Musi, is doing bad thing. So silence is very important. Once the Prophet ﷺ told a group of his companions, لولا تكثير في كلامكم وتمريج في قلوبكم لرأيتم ما أرى وَلَسَمِعْتُمْ مَا أَسْمَعُ. Had it not been that you speak too much and you let bad ideas go around in your heart, you don't have control over your thoughts. So had it not been for speaking too much and letting these ideas go around in your heart, you would see what I see and hear what I hear. So why we cannot see the angels? Because we speak too much and we don't have control over our heart. Idea, thoughts that come to our heart, we don't dismiss them quickly. If something comes to your heart and it's not useful, you should dismiss it quickly. So, the first instruction is to be silent. And when you are silent, then you have chance of understanding better. You have chance of thinking. There is a hadith which says, "As-samtu rawdatul fikr." Silence is the garden for contemplation. When you speak, you cannot have chance to think. The second thing, so what's the first? Easy to understand? Yes, very easy to understand, yeah? Not to speak too much. The second, not to eat more than necessary. Unfortunately, we eat more than necessary. We eat food more than necessary, and we have also junk food, lots of, I don't know, chocolates and nuts and crisps and all these things. And it seems that without us chewing something, we are not comfortable. We have to always keep our mouths busy either by eating or speaking. So this is the problem. Eating is something that also has very severe impact on our spirituality. The worst thing that you can feel is your stomach. This is Imam Sadiq alayhi salam saying in Hadith Unwan al-Basri that if you want to do riyaza, riyaza means a spiritual practice, a spiritual exercise. So people, for example, sometimes tell you not to do this, not to that, for example, some people say, not to have marital relation, but this is not Islamic. Islam says, look at this. Don't eat what you don't have appetite for. أما اللواتي في الرياضة فإياك أن تأكل ما لا تشتهي. If something you don't like, you don't have appetite, either you don't like it, or you have eaten so you don't have appetite. Of course, there are people who unfortunately, without reason, don't like things. You have to change yourself. There are people who say, I don't like meat, I don't like fruits. This type, you have to change yourself. If something is useful for your health, you should try to eat. But something that at this time you don't have appetite for, don't force yourself to eat. فَإِنَّهُ يُورِثُ الْحَمَاقَةَ وَالْبَلَحَ. It makes you fool to eat something that you don't have appetite for. وَلَا تَأْكُلْ إِلَّا عِنْدَ الْجُوعِ. Don't eat except if you are hungry. وَإِذَا أَكَلْتَ فَكُلْ حَلَالًا. And when you eat halal. وَسَمِّ اللَّهِ. say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَاذْكُرْ حَدِيثَ الرَّسُولِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Remember the hadith of the Prophet. مَا مَلَأَ آدَمِيٌّ وِعَاءً شَرًّا مِنْ بَطْنِهِ. Rasulullah said, human beings have not filled any container worse than their stomach. The stomach should not be filled. فَإِنْ كَانَ وَلَا بُدَّ. If you have to eat and drink, فَثُلْثٌ لِطَعَامِهِ وَثُلْثٌ لِشَرَابِهِ وَثُلْثٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. 1/3 for food, 1/3 for drink, 1/3 for breathing, for air. It doesn't mean that equal to your food you have to drink. Perhaps it means that leave this space. 1/3 for food, 1/3 for drink, water for example, 1/3 for air. No. A person was eating too much, so someone told him, don't eat too much. You need, some space for water and for breathing. He said, I fill my stomach with food because water can penetrate and finds its space. And air is not important whether it comes or not. I want to enjoy my food. So sometimes, we eat too much. Especially, it takes some time till our brain understand the stomach becoming full. It takes some time because when the message is sent, it takes some time. So we shouldn't eat till we feel full because we become full much earlier than we feel full. Okay? And this is why, if in the middle of the meal you stop, after half an hour you don't feel you are hungry. Unfortunately, we eat quickly and we don't let the brain to process this. In Islam, it's very much recommended to eat slowly. Some people may think that we should eat quickly, but Islam says no, eat slowly. Why? For many reasons. One is this reduces the amount that you eat. Even in some hadith says, the time you spend on eating is not counted as part of your life. Because it's good for your health, okay? And you eat also less. And also you can enjoy your food. Sometimes you spend hours on preparing the food. Then in 5 minutes you eat and finish. Yeah? So we should eat it slowly so that we can enjoy. So, eating should be reduced. It's easy, yeah? You don't need any special, advice or teacher, and it doesn't cost you anything. Indeed, you can save money. So, reduce your sleep, reduce eating. The third, not to sleep too much. So, again, you don't need to go to Mars to do a spiritual exercise. Something simple. Sleep only as much as your body needs, not less than that. Sleeping for your health is needed and necessary, but not too much. Sometimes people sleep too much. Hadith says that day is bright, should not be darkened by committing sins, and night is long, should not be shortened by sleeping. So part of the night should be kept for ibadah, and unfortunately sometimes, we sleep very, very late, and we wake up very late. So it's important to sleep early and wake up early. So the time we spend on sleeping and also the pattern of sleeping is important. Some people sleep less, but the pattern is not good. They sleep all the morning, and all the night they are awake. This is not good. Part of the night is for rest. جَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ سَكَنًا. I sometimes say to people that in my understanding, everyone needs to sleep in night because it's a time that Allah has planned for our rest. If you sleep during the day, it's not the same experience. Even if you switch off the light and put curtain, this doesn't make it like night. Night is the time for sukoon. جَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ سَكَنًا. So, during the day we can be active, but in the night we should sleep. But also, part of the night we should wake up for Salatul Fajr or Tahajjud or both. I mean, should be both. So not to sleep too much. The fourth, to have some private time for contemplation. You see, I'm not telling you to do anything difficult. I'm just saying, have some private time and relax. But when you relax, think. Think about your life. What you have done so far, what you have achieved, what you are going to achieve. Have you been a good person? Have you been a good mother, a good father, a good husband, a good neighbor, a good colleague, a good alim? Think about all these positions and responsibilities and what you have to do to improve yourself. This tafakkur is very important. Tafakkur sa'a afdal min ibadat sana. If you contemplate for some time, is better than ibadah for 1 year, or sattina sana, 60 years, or sab'ina sana, 70 years. We have different hadiths. Perhaps it depends on the quality of thinking. Sometimes 1 year, sometimes 60 years, sometimes 70 years. Sometimes few minutes of thinking can save you from a big disaster. You have a proposal for marriage. If you think 1 hour, then it will save you from a disaster. Yeah? Don't say easily yes. And also don't say easily no. Maybe you think and you accept. And you don't miss a good opportunity. So, you have to think. You have to think. Contemplation is very important. There is hadith that كَانَ أَكْثَرَ عِبَادَةَ أَبِي ذَرْ التَّفَكُّرِ. The most of ibadah that Abu Zar was doing was to think, to contemplate. Tafakkur is very important. So we should have some time that no one disturbs, no one distracts us, and we think about our relation with Allah, about our life, about what we are supposed to do. This is very important. This khalwa is very important. It can be before you go to sleep. It can be when you wake up. It can be in the middle of the day. It can be when the children go to school, your husband is at work, no one is at home. Half an hour, sit and reflect. We have this concept of muhasabatul nafs. Imam Kazim alayhi salam said, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يُحَاسَبْ نَفْسَهُ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. It's not one of us who doesn't evaluate and examine himself or herself on a daily basis. Every day we have to think about ourselves. So this is the fourth thing. And the fifth is to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as you can. Dhikrullah hasanun ala kulli hal. Remembering Allah is good in all situations. When we wake up, when we go to bed, when we want to start eating, when we want to stop eating, when we want to make wuzu, when we want to go to washroom, when we want to take shower, when we want to drive. For every occasion, we should remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, in all circumstances, One hadith says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a limit for everything. جَعَلَ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَدًّا. Everything has a limit. Daily prayer 17, Nawafil 34, fasting 1 month, Hajj once in the life. There is some limit. But when it comes to dhikr, there is no limit. اذكروا الله كثيرا الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبه. People who remember Allah all the time. رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله. Even when they are doing merchandise and they buy, they sell, they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Listen to this beautiful hadith. The late Ahmad ibn Fahd Hilli in his Uddatul Da'i, he says this hadith from the Prophet. اعلموا أن خير أعمالكم وأزكاها وأرفعها في درجاتكم. Rasulullah said, be aware, be informed. The best of your actions, the purest azkah of your actions, arfa'aha bi darajat, the one that raises you in rank more than anything else. Wa khayra ma tala'at alayha ash-shams, the best thing that sun has shining upon it, dhikrullah subhanahu, is zikr, is to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِنَّهُ أَخْبَرَ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. Rasulullah said, Allah has informed us about himself. When he said, أَنَا جَلِيسُ مَنْ ذَكَرَنِي. You know, this refers to a conversation. Prophet Musa asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, are you close so that I whisper, or you are far so I call you? أَقَرِيبٌ أَنْتَ فَأُنَاجِيكَ. Are you close, near, so I whisper? Or بَعِيدٌ أَنْتَ فَأُنَادِيكَ. Unadik, neda, means to call someone who is in distance. Allah said, أَنَا جَلِيسُ مَنْ ذَكَرَنِي. I am sitting next to the person who remembers me. So even you don't need to whisper. As soon as you remember him, he's there with you. Indeed, he is always with us. But when you remember him, it means that you realize that he is with you. Also, Allah said in the Quran, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. What does it mean? Remember me, I remember you. It means that remember me with ta'ah, with obedience, and I remember you by giving you my ni'mah, my blessings, my mercy, my pleasure. So, the fifth thing is to try to remember Allah as much as possible. Sometimes it helps to have something, some object that can remind you of Allah. For example, in your office, on your desk, in the wall opposite to you, put a frame, name of Allah, or a verse or hadith, or something, that reminds you of Allah. Because we may forget. Sometimes, after some time of working, for example, in your office, okay? After 1 hour of working, stop for 2 minutes and say few zikr. So, by having these stops, these stations of zikr, then gradually all your day will be connected with zikr. We have 5 major stops during the day for zikr. Salat, we have Salatul Fajr, Salatul Zuhr, Asr. These are 5 stops for zikr. But there is no reason why we only remember Allah in these 5 times. Indeed, some of us, we don't remember Allah even when we are saying our prayer. When I'm saying my prayer, I'm remembering my family. But suppose that we remember Allah in these 5 times. أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِلذِّكْرِ. But what about the period between Salatul Fajr and Salatul Zuhr? Should we forget Allah in these few hours? or we should have some stops for remembrance of Allah. Maybe 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes. And gradually, then all the time you can remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it becomes established. Sometimes, people, for example, ask how we can have presence of heart in the salat. I say, for me, it's very difficult to believe that someone who forgets Allah during the day, then all of a sudden, when the time of salat comes, he has presence of heart. If we try to remember Allah during the day, then when the time of salat comes, we can go to the peak. But if during the day is zero, then you cannot go to the peak all of a sudden. So if we want presence of heart in salat, we should try to. In other words, sometimes I use this analogy. I say salat is a display of our life. If in the rest of the day you are doing good, your salat becomes good, because salat is the display of your day, your life. You know why we say if salat is accepted, other things are accepted? Because you cannot have good life unless you have good salat. So if your salat is good, it means that everything else is good. If salat is not good, means that other things are not good. Salat is not an action like other actions. The relation between salat and other actions is like the relation between, for example, like a walnut, you have shell and you have the nut itself. Salat is the core. Salat is the essence of our life. So, salat is not something like other things. When we say salat is khairul amal, it doesn't mean that is one action next to other actions. Salat is very special. So, in your salat, your life is reflected. If you improve your salat, your life will be improved. If you improve your life, your salat will be improved. So these help each other. So what we need to do is to try to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the day, and then when it comes to the time of salat, inshallah, we will be able to remember Him more. So 5 very simple instructions given by our ulama. Not to speak too much, not to eat too much, not to sleep too much, have some time for your private reflection, which means not to mix with people too much. And 5th is try to remember Allah as much as possible. Remembrance can be in any form. It doesn't need any place, it doesn't need any action. Very simple. You can have any job, any responsibility, and have these 5. You don't need to isolate yourself. Yeah, you can be a driver, you can be a, cook, you can be any person and have all these things. Remember the hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لولا تكثير في كلامكم وتمريج في قلوبكم لرأيتم ما أرى ولسمعتم ما أسمع. Had it not been that you speak too much and you let unnecessary and wrong ideas and thoughts go around your heart, you were able to see what I see and hear what I hear. Okay. Now that we talked about these aspects of Islamic spirituality or self-purification, we enter into the discussion about virtues, about the major personal and social virtues in Islam. In the list, we have many things. We have taqwa, we have remembrance of Allah, we have planning, we have devotion, we have gratitude, we have reliance on Allah, we have sincerity. Inshallah, I will mention some of them. The first thing that I would like to mention is taqwa, because taqwa also in a sense is related to what we have discussed today and paves the way for the discussion tomorrow. What is taqwa? Taqwa is not a virtue next to other virtues. Taqwa is not something like, for example, generosity, like, I don't know, trustworthiness. Taqwa is comprehensive. Taqwa is an, embracing an inclusive quality. We have many hadiths about taqwa. We have many verses of the Quran about taqwa. And if you like more, we had a series called Indicators of Piety. 7 or 8 lectures on these indicators of piety. A few years ago we had it in Islamic. It's available online. And also we are publishing now as papers. So far 2 parts have been published. Indicators of piety. What is piety? What is taqwa? And how you can measure your taqwa. Because it's very important for me to realize whether I am muttaqi or not. What are the signs of taqwa? And then we mentioned there are different levels of signs. There are external signs, there are internal signs. So I'm not going to repeat all that, but if you are interested, please listen to those lectures. Indicators of piety. Briefly, taqwa is coming from the root waqaya. In Arabic, we have waqa, yaqi, wiqayatan. Waqa means to save, to protect. Wiqaya means to protect. You know, we say, قنا عذاب النار ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا. قنا comes from the same root, means save us, keep us away from the punishment of fire. Or for example, Allah says, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَحْلِيكُمْ نَارًا. قُوا comes from the same root, وَقَيَّ. Or for example, Allah uses other derivatives of this term in the Quran. Taqwa means to save ourselves from doing anything which is against Allah's will. Something that makes us deserve punishment. You should keep your, like you protect yourself from disease. In Arabic, prevention is called wiqaya. If you prevent illness, this is called wiqaya. And they say, al-wiqayatu khayrun min al-ilaj. Prevention is better than treatment. It's better not to become ill than becoming ill and then you want to treat yourself. So taqwa means to prevent yourself from doing something wrong, from something against Allah's will, something that make you deserve punishment. But this prevention, this care should become a quality for you. You immunize yourself so that you don't do haram. Maybe a person doesn't do haram, but still he hasn't achieved taqwa. If he achieves taqwa, then it's a kind of protection. I am not saying it's like isma. You don't become ma'soom, you are not becoming infallible. But taqwa is very close to becoming ma'soom. Because you so much protect yourself, you so much, keep the barriers around yourself that haram would not touch you. You know, this ayah in the Quran is very, very beautiful. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا إِذَا مَسَّهُمْ طَائِفٌ مِّنَ الشَّيْطَانِ تَذَكَّرُوا فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ. It's very beautiful. Those who are muttaqi, when a group of Satans who go around, ta'if comes from tawaf, okay? There are Satans who go around to see who is heedless to attack. You know, like robbers who go around in the market to see who is not careful, then they rob. So, there are ta'ifun min ash-shaytan, a group of Satans going around. These muttaqi people are there. Sometimes they are not alert. So, massahum ta'ifun min ash-shaytan. These shaitans touch them. But the good point is that when shaitan touches them, tadhakkar, they become alert. You know, many of us don't understand when such touch takes place, whether it is satanic touch or it's a normal touch. When someone speaks to me, I don't understand whether this person is saying this with good intention or bad intention. Okay? But those who are mu'min, when something satanic touches them, tadhakkaru, they become alert. فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ. And then they start seeing. They see that this is shaitan. So, muttaqi can be attacked by shaitan, but cannot be defeated by shaitan. Because he becomes quickly alert. When you are alert, shaitan cannot do anything. Shaitan can do harm either when you are negligent, heedless, or when you want to cooperate. If you want to resist against shaitan, shaitan cannot do anything because it doesn't have control. مَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ. Okay? Shaitan defeats us either by us listening to it or by being negligent and heedless. So, muttaqi is the one who has such a condition, such a quality, such a, immunity. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, for example, in Nahj al-Balagha says that إِنَّ تَقْوَى اللَّهِ حَمَتْ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ مَحَارِمَهُ. Taqwa protects the friends of Allah from committing sins. So it's a very important quality. It's a kind of strength. A muttaqi never commits a sin, never fails to do obligatory acts, and never does anything against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In one hadith it is said, taqwa is that Allah finds you where you are supposed to be, you are there. And Allah doesn't find you where you are supposed not to be there. One of the things that Quran mentions about taqwa is that taqwa is a condition for acceptance of our actions. This is very important. There are many things in the Quran about taqwa, but I said this one because it's very fundamental. Taqwa is a condition for acceptance. Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. When Habil and Qabil, they offered their sacrifice, their qurbani, تُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنَ الْآخَرِ. The sacrifice was accepted from one and not from the other. Why? Because Allah only accepts from muttaqeen, from the pious people. So, if someone is muttaqi, his actions are accepted. If someone is not muttaqi, his actions are not accepted. You remember the story of that person in the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who used to steal things and give as charity. People very much, were praising this person, didn't know, they didn't know what is this person doing. So one day Imam Sadiq alayhi salam followed him and found that he stole 2 pieces of bread and 2 fruits, and then visited a person who was ill and gave him these 4 items. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, "What are you doing? You steal things, you give people." He said to Imam, "Haven't you read the Quran? Quran says, Man ja'a bil hasana falahu ashru amthala." If you do something good, Allah will give you 10 times more. Man ja'a bil sayya fala yujza illa mithlaha. So I did 4 hasana, so the reward is 40. I did 4 sayya, the punishment is 4. 40 minus 4 is 36. So I did 36 hasana for myself. And Imam said, "You haven't studied the Quran. إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ." You haven't achieved anything. You have just committed sin without achieving anything. Indeed, this was an act of sin that you give a stolen food and bread to a person who is innocent. Feeding people haram. How can this be hasanah? So, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah only accepts from muttaqin. And if you are muttaqi, even if you have little actions which are accepted, is working for you. Hadith says, if someone is good and he has a little dua, like salt in food, it's enough. يكفي من الدعاء مع البر ما يكفي الطعام من الملح. If you are a good person and you have little dua, it's accepted. If you are muttaqi and you have little a'mal, it's accepted. And if you are not muttaqi and day and night you work, it would not be useful. I am not trying to discourage people to do many actions. No, doing many actions is very good. But I'm saying that before making sure that you do many things, make sure that you have taqwa. Before you drive, fast, make sure that you have the right direction. If you want to go somewhere, don't just say, "I am driving very fast." First, make sure that you have the right direction. Otherwise, driving fast is not going to help. Maybe it makes it worse. السائر على غير الطريق لا يزيده سرعة السير إلا بعدا. If you are not on the right direction, the faster you go, further away. So, taqwa is such an important, fundamental thing that we have to achieve. What is taqwa? What is the essence of taqwa? You have to listen to those lectures. Indicators of piety, because there we explain, based on the Quran and Hadith, what is the main point in taqwa. But very briefly, I can say that the main thing is your commitment to the truth. Commitment to the truth. Your humbleness before the truth. This is the main thing. Out of this comes your devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Out of this comes your observation of the rights of people. Out of this comes your loyalty, keeping your promises, your trustworthiness. Everything else comes from this foundation. You commit yourself to the truth. You commit yourself to haqq. What is opposite to taqwa? Opposite to taqwa is that you consider yourself to be haqq. Instead of you serving the truth, you consider yourself to be served as truth. Everyone should serve me. Everyone should listen to me. I want to enjoy. I want to do the things that I want. I am the center of the world. Everything must be built around me. This is the problem. So either you are trying to build yourself, your life, around haqq, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether people know or not, truth is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So either you build everything around truth, or you want everything to be built around you. You know, if we build everything around the truth, are we going to have any conflict? If we are humble before the truth, we are not going to have any conflict. We have only conflict when I become the center, you become the center. We cannot have two centers. Then we have to conflict. Because there can be only one center. If we all agree on choosing Allah and the truth as the center, there will be no conflict. But when we want to be with our own egos, the center, then that's the problem. Conflicts start. You can be 1 million people and united, and you can be 2 people in the same house and divided. The problem is not the problem of number. The problem is the problem of truthfulness. If we are committed to haqq, who is right? I should agree. I should support. It doesn't matter whether the one who is right is my friend or my enemy, my relative or a stranger. I should accept. So, the core of taqwa, in my understanding, is truthfulness, observation and commitment to the truth. A muttaqi is the one who does everything that he or she can do to find the truth and commit himself or herself to the truth. Let me give you an example from the Quran. You are all familiar with this verse at the beginning of Surah Baqarah. Alif Lam Mim Zalika al-Kitab La Rayba Fihi Hudan lil-Muttaqin. This book, there is no doubt about it, is guidance for muttaqin. Who are muttaqin that can benefit from the guidance of this book? If you say muttaqi is the one who does wajibat, this is not enough. Muttaqi is the one who has good akhlaq, this is not enough. You have to define muttaqi in the way that explains why these people can benefit from the guidance of the Quran. Muttaqi, in my understanding, is the one who is thirsty for truth, and when he finds the truth, commits himself to the truth. And this is why these people can benefit from the Quran. Hudan lil muttaqin. Even it's possible, some people don't like this, I may not like this, I may misunderstand this, but if they are patient, inshallah they will accept. Even it's possible to be muttaqi and not a Muslim, to begin with. I believe Salman was muttaqi even before when he became Muslim. Therefore, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This book guided him. When this book guided him, then he started praying, fasting, everything else came. But if Salman hadn't this quality of taqwa, which we call it like scientific taqwa, a kind of taqwa in understanding, if he didn't have this quality, he would never embrace Islam. Why he left his family, his position in Iran and went all the way, to Medina. First he became Christian, then he heard about the Prophet of Akhir Zaman, then he went there looking for him. Isn't this taqwa? For sure this is taqwa. Because this person wants to commit himself to the truth. And truth is Allah. Whether you know or not, whether you give it any name, haqq is Allah. ذَلِكَ بَأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ الْبَاطِلِ. Anything that you want to put in the place of Allah is batil, is false. So, taqwa is to commit yourself to the truth. If you are muttaqi, and you have not yet understood the truth, you have not yet discovered the truth, your taqwa brings you to the truth. For sure, Allah would give you access to the truth. Because one of the things that Allah does, He provides guidance for those who are thirsty. الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلًا. So, taqwa brings you to faith. Then, after that, you continue with taqwa. Okay? So, I am not saying people can be muttaqi and remain muttaqi and then don't bother about faith, but I'm saying that you should have some kind of taqwa even before embracing the faith, and then with the same taqwa you can carry on. Therefore, I have argued in those lectures. I said, what do we need to achieve in religion? When you become a Muslim, for example, what do you need to achieve? Taqwa. Okay? Which stands for all the virtues, which is very fundamental. Okay. Some of us, we are 20, 30, 40, 50 years Muslim and still we don't have taqwa. Our rank is very low. Okay? But Salman, how many years it took him to become a very special person? I don't think it took him even 1 year. Why? Because he had this quality. So, we entered into Islam from the bottom and we remained in the bottom. He entered Islam from the top. I hope people don't get me wrong, you know, this is a very complicated issue. So, there are people that from the first day they become Muslim, they are honest, they are generous, they are good, they are selfless, they are truthful. And unfortunately, we for many years do all these actions and we don't achieve these qualities. Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. So these people are much better than people spend all their life in doing actions but not achieving that quality. So this is very important. We should invest most of our energy on achieving taqwa, on truthfulness, not only on doing few actions. Okay? The main thing is that. The next thing, inshallah, that we are going to talk is about thankfulness or shukr. I leave this, inshallah, for tomorrow. And I believe that gratefulness is one of the very fundamental qualities. If someone is grateful, people of dunya love him and people of akhirah love him. If someone is grateful, in dunya he would be successful and in akhirah would be successful. Everyone loves those who are grateful. Inshallah, we'll talk about it tomorrow. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. If you have questions, please.